The AC is broken, and so I have a fan running, and hopefully it's not showing up on the microphone, but we'll see. And it is like 78 degrees in here, but I have to commit to dressing appropriately, so hopefully I don't die.
I mean, I don't think you have to commit, but...
I've unfortunately set a precedent.
It's for the bit.
You do these things to yourself.
I was going to make a joke about what I would do for a specific movie, but if I say that, then I'm going to have to actually do that. So, it's maybe for the best I don't say anything. This is episode 15 of I Finally Saw, where today I finally saw Gremlins. Well, hello and happy nondescript, non-denominational winter holidays to everybody, even though I am wearing a Santa Claus hat. I am joined once again by my lovely, lovely co-host. I am joined by Ember.
Oh, hi, I'm first apparently.
I am joined by Andromeda.
Hey, y'all.
And of course, last but far from least, I am joined by Dayton.
Woo! Yeah.
Well, he's very excited. That's great. No, I like that energy. Yeah, of course, today we're talking about probably, even though we've only done 2 Christmas episodes, this is probably the most Christmas movie we've ever talked about on the show. Andromeda said earlier there is no argument to be made about whether or not this is a Christmas movie, despite when it came out, which we'll get into. I guess I'll just go ahead and introduce it, as I usually do, with a little paragraph that I have copy and pasted, because I am too lazy to write anything myself. Gremlins is a 1984 American black comedy horror film directed by Joe Dante, written by Chris Columbus, and starring Zach Galligan, Phoebe Cates, and Hoyt Axton. Drawing on legends of folkloric mischievous creatures that cause malfunctions, aka gremlins, that originate in the British Royal Air Force going back to World War II, the story follows Billy Peltzer, who receives Gizmo as a pet, who then spawns more of his kind, evolving into the titular imp-like monsters that wreak havoc on Billy's hometown during Christmas Eve.
Dad, it's really neat. Can I pick him up, Dad?
Sure, go ahead. Just be careful.
Oh, isn't he cute?
I hope his house broken.
I brought up earlier that this is a movie that is pretty undisputed a Christmas movie. Like, it takes place during Christmas. There's so much Christmas music. Like, you can't really argue. But I think that's all very funny, because there's a lot of like arguments that people make about what does it mean for something to be a Christmas movie. And sometimes it's time of release, sometimes it's artistic intention, sometimes it's just the way it was marketed. And it's funny because this is a movie that's obviously I don't think you could really deny that this is a Christmas movie, but from what I understand, it came out during the summer. It came out the same day as Ghostbusters. And even though this obviously went on to grow a pretty iconic reputation, it was the 4th highest grossing movie of 1984. From what I understand, in almost every single city in America, every major city in America, Ghostbusters did technically beat it out financially, except for one city, which is New York City. Because Ghostbusters shot on location, and New Yorkers did not want to go see Ghostbusters because they were fed up with the years' worth of traffic backups that had happened from all the streets Ghostbusters had shut down during filming. But yeah, this is, of course, directed by Joe Dante, the king of weird, creepy, little, tiny things running around and causing absolute havoc. And yeah, I guess I want to throw it over to everybody and ask, how familiar were you guys with Gremlins before we talked about it today? Let's start with Dayton.
I'd seen it before, but I was in middle school when I saw it, so it was pretty much the time. Like, today was pretty much the first time, because I didn't remember a lot of the things outside of the very first scene and the very last scene of the movie. So, I've always had this little gremlin guy because it's my dad's for like the 80s, and it was signed by Zach right here.
Oh wow! Signed by Billy Peltzer himself. Yeah. Wow.
You can see how old this is. It's like crumbling now.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Andromeda, what about you?
I am definitely familiar with it in that, I think in the same way everyone else is, you know, like, it's not a movie I would watch during Christmas. I have never seen the movie before. And well, here's my reasoning for not watching it. It's no surprise, I don't like Spielberg, and his name is attached to this. And I guess we'll get further into that, but
Oh boy.
I think I would feel differently if I grew up watching this movie, but I didn't.
That's fair. Okay. Ember, what about you?
This is the first time I saw it. I only really knew about it through like pop culture osmosis. And the only stuff that I'd seen like of the movie itself was like the clips from the like 5-ish minute segment. I don't know, somewhere like around an hour into the movie. That I'm not gonna like get into describing it all because we'll probably discuss that later. But yeah, I had basically seen nothing of it.
Yeah. This is something that I was always sort of aware of this movie, like a lot of movies we talk about on this show, but I had never seen it proper until getting ready for today. But I was very aware of like the tone and of a very specific monologue that a character gives near the end of the movie about why they don't like Christmas and how that's a wonderful sort of tone setter. But we'll talk about that later. I don't know whether or not to throw up a spoiler warning because I don't really know if there's much you can spoil with Gremlins.
We've spoiled so much stuff on the show.
Hey, spoilers for a 41-year-old movie.
You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's never too late to change for us to start worrying about those kinds of things. But I mean, it's a pretty straightforward story, you know. Yeah, I guess at this point, it just sort of transition into sort of overall thoughts. Well, so the movie opens in Chinatown. I don't know where exactly. I'm assuming it's supposed to be just New York. And I wasn't expecting that at all. And then we go, we go into basement of weird antiquity shop. And that's where we're first introduced to the, I don't know. I watched this movie and I was like, this feels like the prerequisite to like the Minions. You know what I mean? This was like the Minions like saw what they did with Gremlins and they were like, what if we did that but made it somehow even more marketable? And then I went down this rabbit hole of like imagining like Facebook mom memes but with like Gremlins, where it's just like Spike smoking a cigar and he's just like, exercise, I thought you said extra fries or something. I think that would have made the world a better place.
Here's one. It would be like rules for dating me. We be drinking after midnight.
Bright lights after partying. All the wine
Party.
after midnight.
Party.
Wow. Well, it's interesting you bring up Spielberg because it's even though he didn't direct it, he didn't write it. There is a lot of Spielberg all over this movie. For better or worse, he produced it.
He really Spielberg all over the place.
There's a lot of things that he didn't initially.
He executive produced it.
He executive produced it. The main city, or the main town of the movie, I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head. I think I have it written down here somewhere. Kingston Falls. So the main, like, town square of Kingston Falls is the Universal backlot where tons of movies have been shot and TV shows have been shot, but most famously, it was the town square for Hill Valley during the original Back to the Future. Corey Feldman.
I put that in my notes.
Yeah. Corey Feldman plays the little kid who's like friends with Billy, who was originally supposed to be in E.T., and him being in this movie was like kind of a consolation prize, because he was written out of E.T. eventually. I'm trying to remember. There's like a bunch of references. There's like a couple references to E.T. There's like an E.T. doll that one of the Gremlins hides behind. I think at some point one of the Gremlins says phone home. So I'm sure a lot of people kind of chalk this up to being Spielberg-esque. But I think what sets this apart from something like, I don't know, like when I think early sort of Spielberg, there is definitely like a bite to what he's doing to just kind of barely push it up to that PG-13 sort of angle where you have like stuff in Indiana Jones where people are just, people are actually dying and all that. And I think this movie is definitely reminiscent of that. But I think it's pushing it just a little bit further than I think Spielberg typically does it. With Spielberg, there's like an element of like he kind of is almost trying to do it tastefully as a guy getting picked up by a T-Rex off of an outhouse could possibly be. Whereas like with this movie, it feels very like, and I mean this lovingly, but it feels very like canon. I don't know if like canon movies, like B movies, where it's just kind of like someone had an idea for like, oh, it would be like a really fun gag, like very much early 80s when you had all these like puppetry and special effects widgetry of just like what's the craziest kind of gross out thing we can do with latex and makeup and all this sort of stuff, and it pushes that I think a little bit farther than Spielberg I think would. I think this feels a little bit darker than some of his stuff as I typically imagine it. There's definitely still that sort of sentimentality, and it's not full-blown horror, but it's definitely, I think, a little bit more... I mean, from what I understand, this movie is like one of the movies that's cited as the reason that the PG-13 rating like became a thing. Is because some people were like, obviously it's not an R-rated movie, but I feel like you're pushing it to say this movie is PG. So yeah, I don't know. But that's sort of my little introduction. I don't know if...
In my very little research done, I know that this movie wasn't necessarily the movie that created the PG-13 movie,
Right.
but Spielberg called the president of the Motion Picture Association, and he's like, "Hey, we're friends, right? Let's talk about this rating because it's not rated R, but also I need this to be marketable." And then the president was like, "All right, I got you, Spielberg. We're gonna do PG-13 for you." And then that also... It also went to whatever Indiana Jones movie. I think it was Temple of Doom.
Yeah, which
That,
was
like,
another
got that rating
Spielberg
for.
produced and actually, from what I understand, co-directed movie at that. So, thank you, Spielberg, for giving us PG-13.
Where would we be without it?
Where would we be? Where would all those Marvel movies be without it? You know, who
Lost.
knows?
They'd be more tame than they already.
And they already are. Well, I guess at this point we can go ahead and start transitioning into sort of overall thoughts. Andromeda, you've given us kind of an idea about how you feel, especially, and I kind of guessed how you might feel about this movie when I remembered that it was produced by Spielberg. So, do you wanna open us up?
I don't even have that many thoughts on this movie because I didn't initially realize it was produced by Spielberg, but like before the opening credits, the entire screen was like a billboard for Indiana Jones. Pretty sure it was Temple of Doom. And I was like, alright, cool, I don't understand. And then right after that, it was Steven Spielberg Presents, and then it goes into the title credits. And I was like, oh, okay.
Are you talking about the billboard for the radio guy?
Yeah. It was like... It was very reminiscent of Indiana Jones, but it didn't say his actual name on it. Was the thing.
No,
it was
it's
just
the,
like the same kind of poster. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the radio guy in the movie. I thought they put that in there to
Yeah.
kind of poke fun at him.
I mean, maybe, but I was not thinking about that. I was thinking, why is Spielberg's name all over this? I mean, I know why. I can't escape him. We've talked about him a lot on this podcast, and I didn't even get into talking about him during Back to the Future. But all of his movies, to me, still have the Spielberg vibe to them, and it's just not something I necessarily enjoy. So when I was watching this movie, I was like, okay, it's not Spielberg, it's a different thing all on its own, and I need to give credit where credit's due. But I fell asleep during the movie.
Oh my gosh.
I just...
Is this a first for?
Yeah.
This was the
I was
first
wondering-
movie I fell asleep for this podcast.
How many movies have I
But-
gone to the theater with you and you fell asleep? Because I think it's at least like 3.
Probably almost every movie we saw.
That's amazing.
Damn.
But to get back on track, I just didn't like this movie as much, and I'm wondering what the rest of the panel thinks, because I know this is a beloved movie for a lot of people, but for me, I just didn't feel connected to it in any way, and maybe it's just like the time that it was when it came out, and I didn't grow up with it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll get into my thoughts a little bit later. I'm curious, Ember. I know you're a kind of also like a big, just fan of weird stuff. I don't know how to explain it. But you have a Mars
You're
Attacks
free.
poster. No. I actually think publicly stating you have a Mars Attacks poster is maybe more telling than just calling somebody a freak. Which you are not. Oh no, what's happening?
A lamp fell, but...
Oh yeah, there it is. There's the Mars Attacks
Anyways.
poster. You like movies about weird, small little creatures running around, I'm assuming. So what did you think? Have you seen,
Yeah,
you hadn't seen Gremlins before, but what did you
Ember,
think of this movie?
every time I went over to Ember's apartment, she'd just show me Minions.
Yeah. I just have a stockpile. My closet full of Minions. Actually, I smacked the shit out of my computer right now. Overall, my thoughts can be summed up on this movie with a quote that you all know and love. It was okay.
Our audience won't understand that reference.
That sucks
It
to
will
suck.
soon enough.
Okay, is that the summation of your thoughts about Gremlins? It was fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unironically, yeah, it was fine. It's like a 6.5 out of 10 for me.
I mean, that's pretty good. That's like what, like a D in America?
Is D
So
good?
not
It's an
a
F, I'm
passing
pretty
grade.
sure. It weighs 6.5. 6.5 is a D.
6.5 means that most of the movie was not bad, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fine.
Dayton,
Pretty close to that.
yeah,
Maybe a little more positive.
bit more positive. Is that it?
Yeah.
Dayton, you can
Okay.
be meaner. You can be so much meaner. Believe in yourself.
Okay, so I did not think I was gonna like the movie until the Gremlins started attacking.
Did you
There
like
it
the
is.
movie
That-
before the
that's
Gremlins
what I-
started attacking?
Not really.
No,
Not
really?
really. It was just like, it was just, it was just boring. I don't know. I didn't think that. I thought that the Gremlins would have been way more interested in another story. I thought the Gremlin effects themselves were very cool. It was cool seeing, it was cute. It was cool seeing them move around. I was really appreciative of that. But honestly, until they start like attacking with, like, as soon as that one started eating cookies, I was like, okay, this movie's starting to ramp up a bit.
I think I have to be like, I don't know how soon I would want to revisit this movie, but I think there is a certain part of me that has just kind of completely, I think, fallen in love with this movie, to be entirely honest, because this is a movie that is just bursting with creativity in terms of like the problem solving of how are you going to do the Gremlins on screen, in terms of like, I actually think the screenplay is really, really tight. I think Billy Peltzer is a charming enough like sort of character to have that, in the way that like you really do immediately kind of feel bad for him so quickly, of just like he's working at this job, and it's like, I don't think the movie does a good job of convincing me that the family's down on their luck, because this is the 1980s problem of like everybody always has a nice house in these movies. And it's like Billy Peltzer is in a supposedly worse financial situation than I am, and yet his house is so much nicer than mine. Like, so, but you know, it's a suspension of disbelief, whatever, right? And there's all these like little things that are set up, there's weird eccentric things in their house, and so there's these weird swords, and like the sword falls down twice, and then that comes back, because then he uses a sword later in the movie, and like you're introduced to all these weird characters around the town. there's that guy who's like super proud of his American-made tractor, and then it ends up being like his comeuppance. All those little like setups and payoffs and those sort of things. But the thing, and I really like the soundtrack. I love the way it bounces back and forth between this like sort of classic. I call it 90s shenanigans music, but it's that very bouncy like dun 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 dun, dun. Like it's just, this is the music they played in the late 80s and 90s when like stupid shenanigans were going to go down. But it bounces between that and then like very 80s like synth sort of sound. And there's this one moment where they play like a synth cover of like Silent Night, as like the town is just empty and there's smoke everywhere, and it's such a beautiful little moment. And there's something about the way this movie is particularly shot and lit that I just fell in love with. Because I've recently gone on a lot of rants about this growing trend in movies that take place at night that are coming out today where you just cannot see what is happening. It's just like, if I was watching these scenes in anything other than like a movie theater, I would not be able to see what was going on. And coming back to a movie like this, where it's just like so much of it takes place at night, and I can see what is happening. Like, it's obviously dark out, but there's so much light filling the frame. This movie's so colorful. There's so many scenes where it's just like they're at home or they're in the fire. There's like the scene where they first sort of introduce Gizmo to the family, and there's this beautiful little like orange from the fire and the blue coming in from outside, and it's this wonderful little contrast on both sides of people's faces. This movie is lit so wonderfully, and it's partly born out of like problem solving, because part of the reason for the whole like low light idea is that their sort of idea was that it would make the effects look better. If the have more shadows coming in and they're not as like flatly and brightly lit, the sort of effect of the gremlins could kind of be sold better. And so that's sort of where the whole rule of like keep them out of direct sunlight was born out of. And to do that, but then still have so much color information coming through in the frame, I don't know. I'm just like, there's so many shots in this movie that I look at and I'm like, I want to shoot and light my projects like that. You know, I know some people, I'm not going to name names, but some people do not love when they light night scenes with just a bright blue light. But I don't care. It's functional. I can buy that it's nighttime. And I can see what's happening in this visual art form called filmmaking. So I will take that over the ending of Cocaine Bear, where in the theater I couldn't understand what the heck was going on.
You're telling me you didn't love Cocaine Bear? No, I do agree about the lighting overall. Also, since we were on the subject of the early part of the movie, I do kind of agree with Dane overall that the first part was really like slow and kind of boring, which is why I ended up loving the character of Miss Deagle.
Oh yeah,
she easily was like my favorite character prior to the Gremlins.
I know,
starting to do stuff.
And from the moment she walks on screen, you know what her deal is. You know, everybody out of my way! I got this stupid glass Frosty the Snowman.
It's
I'm gonna
perfect.
Kill your dog. I'm going to kill your dog.
I also desperately need like a Sigma edit of Miss Deagle when she says that the me and the bank exist for the same reason, to make money.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
perfect. It's a perfect line for that.
There's a moment. Yeah, I don't know. I think this movie feels very sort of like late 80s with the whole, I mean, obviously, because it was made during that time, but like with the dad being this like wacky inventor, reminds me a lot of like Robin Williams and Flubber, or Rick Moranis in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, where he's got all these like wacky, what's that invention he keeps trying to sell everybody? The bathroom buddy? And then like the smokeless ashtray.
Which
and there's like
did well
all
by
this
the end.
like, yeah, you know, and there's all this like wacky stuff that he's trying to sell people, and he's going to like the inventor convention, and it's just like all these like there's like a robot that walks past the frame.
I love the joke in the background that some dude had like a time machine, and then like the next shot, it's gone, and they're trying to find out where it is.
It's like the ground
That
is
was a
like
good joke.
smoking. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it goes. There is probably like a world where you can kind of tighten that up, but I think like I'm just sort of fascinated by that time period and the way sort of dialogue is written back then and how it isn't, and just like the craft of like, hey, like these are all these like really cool, well lit, fancy sets. So I think like I get like I will say it's probably nowhere near as engaging because like once this movie gets going, it gets going, and but it does take a sec to get there. But I think even just like the sort of easily missed artistry of just those early scenes of just like we're just setting up who this family is and where he works and what his job is like so like well done that I find even those scenes kind of distinctly charming in their own sort of way. But yeah, obviously the crux of the movie is those little green monsters who are just tearing havoc, and those effects are really, really fun. And it's interesting because Gremlins are very different, I think, than like your typical sort of like movie monster sort of deal, because it's not like they're kind of supposed to be funny. They're parodies of people, right? So they're like probably most evidently in the two scenes where they go to the bar and there's just absolute havoc in there, and then like they go watch Snow White, which caught me off guard of like a Snow White, because like that movie's still not even in the public domain, so which means I'm assuming they had to get permission for that. Snow White. So
Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't know. I mean, is there any particular moment with the Gremlins that stands out to any of you? Because I always think about the moment where I realized this was a different movie than I was expecting, is when she juices. Props to Billy's mom. She juices that one gremlin.
Yeah.
She kills
just
3
blows that
gremlins
thing
back
up.
to back. Oh, she honestly, I really liked her kills. But I just wanted to briefly mention before we get too far away. You mentioned earlier, Austin, about how like it was kind of hard to believe that they are just like this down on their luck family, and I think part of that also just comes down to in the opening scene. The dad drops $200 in 1984 money, or is offering anyways $200 in 1984 money, which adjusted for inflation is $620.45. I don't know about you, but I don't know anyone that's down on their luck that is willing to immediately offer $620 just off rip.
He just had to have that, I guess. There was literally nothing else in the city of New York for him to buy a son.
Yeah.
For his
No, he
son.
had to go to Chinatown.
I loved how in that scene he's like I think he's talking about the bathroom buddy, and then he talks something, he's like inner dragon or something, and then it looks at the dragon shows up in frame, and then a gong goes off.
You got yourself a bad case of dragon breath. Bad breath.
I forgot about that. Dragon
Alrighty.
breath?
What?
I don't know. I'm just like,
that
what
was
did he mean by that?
Oh yeah, that was the scene. Oh, that was it. That was what they said.
What
I was
did
like,
he
you
mean
wake up
by
in the morning,
that?
you got really bad breath. It's like you're a dragon.
And then a gong sound effect plays, and then he's like, I mean bad breath. And I was like, what did they mean by that? What did they mean by that?
I think you know.
Classic Spielberg.
So, the Gremlins killed a lot of people in this movie.
I was surprised that
And-
a lot of people actually died in this movie.
When people die in movies, we like to ask the question:
Oh, boy.
Golden Chainsaw.
Well, I don't think there's any question. It has to go to that old lady on the rocket chair. That was amazing.
Miss Deagle?
Yes,
Deagle.
Miss Deagle on the
Deagle
rocket
was
chair.
so good.
That
I
felt
was
like
so
an
shocked
Evil
it
Dead
just-
bit.
Can I offer up one suggestion? We have 2 golden chainsaws, one for the gremlins, one for the human deaths.
Okay. I think Golden Chainsaw for Human Death is Miss Deagle on the rocket chair, and that was the biggest laugh for me.
Oh, yeah. In terms of, like, just laughter, absolutely. I felt a lot of, like... It felt good for the comeuppance when the racist guy gets run over by his own tractor. But, yeah, for sheer just, like, laughing out loud factor, absolutely Miss Deagle getting flung. Absolutely mollywopped by her own little stair chair thing.
I loved her legs sticking out of the ground.
Andromeda, is there any of the ways the gremlins get killed that you think is worthy of a golden chainsaw?
Not really, but I do think one honorable moment is when, who was it, Spike jumped into the pool
Oh
and
my
then
god, I forgot.
made like 1 billion gremlins, dude. That's like the infinite source right there. I think they probably ended the world with that one.
That one shot was it was like the world's most obvious facade of the YMCA. But I love it. I don't know there's like a charm to it. And then the fact that like jumping in the pool just produces disco lights visible from the lobby. And then like that shot of just the pool gurgling and there's so much smoke pulling out and it's just the biggest crane shot I've ever seen indoors. It's just like I kind of have to like be like, this is kind of fun. This is, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a scene that kind of perfectly sums up the tone of this movie, and we referenced it earlier. And it's a scene where I'm forgetting her name. Who's his girlfriend? Is it Molly?
I thought it was Kate.
Is Kate?
Kate. So she has the speech they're hiding out in the bank, and she finally explains why she doesn't like Christmas. She has that moment earlier in the movie that makes me laugh, where she's like, "I say I don't celebrate Lincoln or Washington's birthday, and nobody bats an eye. But I say I don't celebrate Christmas." There's also Billy has a really weird line when she says she doesn't celebrate Christmas, where he's like, "What are you, Hindu?" And I was like, well, she could be Jewish. I don't know.
Well,
Why?
I was thinking Jew the next logical conclusion.
Yeah, but Billy don't got internet.
I'll be honest. Her reasoning completely makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, what would you
Jesus.
do if one of your
My
family
jaw would
members
drop.
died in the chimney dressed like Santa Claus?
no, her explaining that scene. I'm like,
Well, you know who didn't like that scene? Can you guess, Andromeda?
Spielberg.
Spielberg didn't want that scene. He didn't like that scene.
Yeah.
The studio executives didn't want that scene. But Joe Dante was like, that scene, that whole monologue, because they were like, is it supposed to be sad, scary, or funny? Like, what is that scene supposed to be? Is it supposed to be kind of funny? Is it supposed to be really, really sad? Because, like, the situation's so hilarious that it's almost funny, but that this is also, like, her dad is, like, dead. And we're not using always, like, the specific words you would use to make that situation seem funny. And, like, the music's kind of somber. And Joe Dante, the director, was like, that's the point. That's the whole movie, is, like, weird, kind of grim, dark sense of humor. This weird, genuinely kind of scary edge with an undertone of humor. And I don't know, I really kind of appreciate that. It's a tone I don't... Because there's some stuff in this movie that is genuinely kind of freaky. Like that whole, like Spike's death, that little effect of the skeleton just melting is like genuinely kind of gross. I don't know. Do you guys feel like the tone of this movie really sort of stood out to you?
I think whenever it came to like gremlin scenes, I feel like that tone really came through. But a lot of the human scenes, outside of that Santa one, really didn't convey that too well. It felt all that stuff felt very separate and felt like it was just forced waiting until you got to the cool stuff with the gremlins.
Okay.
So it was I couldn't get too invested in this character because I didn't really find anything interesting about the characters outside of that girl and the dad. But the dad's not in the story out like during the other scenes, like during the gremlin scenes.
Do you guys remember that like guy who's like the assistant manager at the bank? What happened to him? There's like the guy that there's like a couple things in this movie where I'm like, that is weird considering that like there are some things that I'm like, oh cool, that's like a setup and payoff, but there are like a handful of things in this movie where I'm just like, that feel like that should have been like the pool. I feel like maybe like Billy should have just worked at the YMCA instead, and that's how you just set up that there's like a big pool earlier in the movie or something that they could use. There's like the fact that he's an artist, and I kept expecting that to like pay off somehow, and it never really does. And then there's like the other one is like that guy who's like kind of like talking to Billy when he's in the bar. He's in the bar, there's that guy that comes up to him and he's like, I've made senior partner at 25 and by the time I'm 30 I'll be a millionaire or something. And it's like the old lady has like that big spectacular death scene. I kept expecting him to have like a similar like moment where there's like I don't know. What do you guys think his death scene should have been?
I don't know.
It should have been something in the bank. It should have been like they should have set up like something about like the gremlins wanting to rob the bank just because that they saw it in like a movie or something. Or
they're trying to open a savings account. Right?
The gremlins beat him to death with rolls of quarters.
Oh, that actually, if they threw like coins at him.
I was gonna say there's like a beggar, there's like a hobo gremlin. He's like, spare change!
Oh.
And he's like, get a job, you bum! And then all the gremlins come out dressed like hobos, and they're like, bum, and they just like kill him.
I would have loved that. I think that the movie, it felt like that was like a scheduling issue, though. It felt like he was supposed to be bigger because of how much they set him up.
I honestly, well, this might be me like giving the movie too much leniency, which is rare, so I'm kind of doubtful. But I kind of read a lot of those moments like them kind of trying to establish that that these people aren't just like effectively NPCs, for lack of a better term. Like they are people, they exist, so whenever they die, it's got a little bit more bite to it later on, even though we didn't see a lot of them dying.
That's true, because anyone who has a dedicated like death scene isn't just like a random we haven't seen before. Like, it is someone who showed up earlier in the movie, and we got a little bit of, like, explanation into who they are. So then it's just weird, then, to have that big scene with that guy in the bar, and then he doesn't show up again later. I was really expecting him to, like, I don't know, like the gremlins take his, like, fancy car for a joyride or something, and he's like, hey, that's mine! Or something.
I did want to go ahead and mention, I personally really enjoyed whenever Billy was asking, again, I'm pretty sure her name was Kate, shoot me if I'm wrong, whatever. But whenever he was trying to ask Kate out, and he like decides to go ahead and clarify just from sheer like awkwardness, like with me right after, I personally really enjoyed that. Also, whenever like or I guess during the like insane 5-minute sequence around the 1 hour mark of the movie, I really want to know why Kate didn't like leave earlier and why she was actively serving all the insane gremlins that were destroying the bar that she works at.
They were going to shoot her. And she didn't do that.
I was the impression I got is that she felt trapped.
But they also established the gun way too late.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess, but a lot of those places will typically have like a back door that you could kind of duck out of or something.
Yeah, the gremlins
just felt weird.
After her, then.
I actually do agree with you, Ember. I was thinking that when I was watching that scene. I was like, why doesn't she just leave?
I don't think she could.
As per fire codes, those places normally have like at least like 3 exits.
Well,
generally
actually, it was a
speaking.
historic building. They established that earlier in the movie. They're
Oh.
saying we're trying to get it.
No.
to
They
be
were
a
trying to
historic-
make it a historic building. It was not one yet.
You can't make it a historic
And I agree
building
with
unless
Miss
it's
Eagle.
old.
It should be torn down.
Okay. You better watch out. I'm gonna give you a rocket chair for Christmas.
Oh no.
What did you guys think about the ending? And that beautiful little matte painting. I love the matte paintings in this movie too, I should mention. They feel so Christmassy. But what did you guys think about the ending and the sort of like... Did the bittersweetness aspect of it land for you? Because I know some people growing up kind of always talked about how they didn't like the ending to this movie because they're like, why? Like, Gizmo clearly loves Billy. Why doesn't he just stay? And I don't know. To me, it makes 100% sense why he didn't stick around. But I don't know if
Billy
that
did
sort of...
cause this.
What?
Billy caused all of it. Like, even like though he's a good person, he in the future, like, he still has a chance to see Gizmo again. But like he did cause all of it.
Yeah, he caused all of it, albeit inadvertently. Like, he didn't intentionally give the thing water, except for whenever they were testing things out later with the science teacher who was the first to die for,
Oh, yeah.
in my opinion, no good reason. But anyways, yeah, no, it makes perfect sense that guy comes back at the end of the movie and is like, "Hey, you fucked up. Give me."
I don't get why people have that sentiment when the guy at the end is literally like, you're not able to take care of him now, but you can,
Yeah.
like, when you're grown up and actually can take care of something.
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing he does whenever somebody comes over to his house, is like, "Hey, you want to see this thing?" And then it immediately is a mess up. And this is like a kid he's showing it to. So it's just like,
How old is Billy supposed to be?
Aren't they in high
30.
school?
At least.
I thought he was at least like 18. Because he's never in school.
I thought he
He's
Right?
never in school. I don't.
he works
It's
at the bank.
Yeah, he has
Yeah.
a job at the bank.
It's
His,
weirdly
like, girlfriend works at a
ill-defined.
bar,
I
right?
don't know. They both seem like too young for the positions that they're in.
That was so weird.
It's
They felt like they
yeah,
should
because like whenever I'm looking at them, like, I want to assume, especially given that it's an '80s movie, like, oh, high schooler or like maybe early college, and yet like working at a bar, and one of the I think the position is called teller at a bank, and it's like that doesn't quite add up, but sure.
I have to wonder, because I think... Do you think that, like, this is a premise... we might talk about this more a little bit in the bonus episode, but this is one of those, like, franchises that, like, I always see kind of so deeply associated, and I always with pop culture, and I'm like, I always wondered if there's some sort of like reason, because like somebody is like smart enough to be very protective of their rights or what. But I've always wondered why, like, this franchise of all, like I understand why Back to the Future hasn't come back, right? Because like Robert Zemeckis is like super protective of those rights, and he's like, as long as I am alive, there will never be a Back to the Future remake. There will never be a Back to the Future 4. So I'm like, is there a similar situation here, or is there just like deemed not enough interest? Is there someone that's like, if you make a CGI gremlin, that is sacrilege, and I will not greenlight this movie? What would Gremlins 3 be? Right?
So what I looked at on HBO Max, okay, so it looks like there was something after the second movie, but I could not tell you what it was.
there was a
But it
cartoon
I
show.
think it was okay, yeah. It was just, I think Gremlins 2 just was not that big of a hit, so they never really wanted to go back. From what I
Yeah,
remember, it
'cause-
wasn't really well liked.
Like,
Yeah, and I mean,
know.
I don't think this is something that's really. Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I don't think this is something that's really like in the cultural consciousness or like the conversation, the zeitgeist, in any like substantial way. Really, it's just kind of because like if anyone does use the word Gremlins, they're generally speaking not referring to this movie in any way. It's just kind of like a word that already exists.
Right.
So it doesn't really have any. There's no like, I guess, any reason to go ahead and try to further capitalize on this.
Yeah, I agree with Ember, but to add on to it, I think that if you're going to be watching a Christmas movie, you're not gonna necessarily think of Gremlins first. Most people think like Home Alone, Elf, like other movies like that, and I think people see those as better options than Gremlins.
So do you guys see this becoming a holiday tradition to watch that racist guy get run over by his tractor and Mrs. What's her name? Mrs. Cratchit? I don't remember. Get flung from her chair.
Deagle?
Yeah.
Don't you get that wrong. She's the best goddamn character in this movie.
Maybe like this is one of those YouTube clips movies where you look up the clip on YouTube and go like, that was a good scene. And then
No. This is one of those movies that you see like chopped up scenes of on TikTok, and you watch like 57 parts, and then you just have the whole plot of the movie.
Boy's father goes to Chinatown, New York, to find a little creature.
People watch movies on TikTok in clips.
It's
why?
I mean, I don't think it's ever like the full thing. It's always like, for one, they always cut the scenes down, and even then, I'm pretty sure like a lot of the like stuff is missing. It's probably down to like a quarter of the runtime by the time all the parts are like put together. But like, you still get an idea for what's going on.
Then you didn't watch the movie. That's like
yeah, but like you Marquise watched like, the movie, you know?
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Marquise always catching strays even when he's not on the panel.
I love how that was enough to get you to understand.
I want to ask, what is everybody's like Christmas like yearly tradition? Like, what movie do they watch?
What is the movie you have to watch every Christmas?
The movie, yeah. The movie you watch every Christmas.
Well, I know what yours is.
Nah. Yeah, you do.
You got it up on the shelf behind you there.
Yeah.
Good old Paul Giamatti and the Holdovers. But I have to ask. Before Holdovers came out, was there a movie that was like the Christmas movie for you?
I guess like I'd watch the first half of Elf and then I'd stop.
You'd set a
I'd
timer?
watch like up to the... No,
right, it's been 45 minutes.
I think it's pretty
You're
safely...
pulling a Marquise on Elf every time?
The climax is like so boring. It is so bad. I like the rest of the movie fine enough, and it gives me good memories of Christmas, but I just don't care for every time. Even as a kid, I just didn't care for how it ended.
I like the scene in the department store where he's like, "Okay, people,
yeah,
10 a.m. Santa's coming. Santa!" Oh man. I don't know, Andromeda, do you have a holiday classic you gotta put on?
I mean, I really don't. Like, not in the sense that it is a tradition, and I, like, am so dedicated to watching a movie at Christmas time. I definitely do for Halloween, but Christmas is just one of those holidays I'm like, if I'm watching a movie with my family, it's honestly gonna be a Marvel movie, and not anything. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like my
favorite holiday tradition,
vibes and drama.
Iron Man 2.
Okay. Is Iron Man 2? What's the Christmas?
I don't know.
Christmas Marvel.
I think Iron Man 3 takes place during winter time, maybe.
Oh,
the first one is like New Year's Eve, right?
I don't know.
Oh. I think they do have a Christmas hat like during one of the scenes because that movie like takes place over the course of a year.
The Guardian Holiday
Sure. It's pretty explicit.
I forgot about that.
Ember, do you have a holiday classic
tradition? Oh, okay, yeah. Ask me first. Anyways, my holiday tradition is the Star Wars Christmas special, the
No, it's
Life Day
not.
special. Love that. 10 out of 10.
No,
Honestly, we
Well,
don't really.
there's no way you've seen that. in
Don't
its
tell me no. It's
entirety.
not for my own tradition.
There's no way you've seen that thing in its entirety even once.
I've seen it. I've seen multiple chunks of it. I'm not 100% sure if I've seen the whole thing, but yeah, no, not in its entirety. It's always been in bits and pieces. I'm not dedicated enough to care to track it down. No, I mean, I don't think my family really has any tradition like for movies like that. I think the closest thing is maybe Home Alone, just because like that typically ends up coming on at some point, but it's never like oh, let's gather around the TV and throw on Home Alone again. Let's watch Macaulay Culkin before the Great Downfall. It's
What do you
it's
mean?
kind of
He's
like,
married to
oh
Brenda
hey, that
Song.
movie.
He's doing great
it's
for
it's that
himself.
time of yeah now. Anyways, but
Wait. He's married to Brenda Song now.
Isn't that her name? She played. That's the actress that played London Tipton, right?
Yeah, London
Yeah.
Tipton.
Yeah, they're married. They're happily married together.
And they have
Oh.
like what, 3 boys together?
Okay,
Oh.
so maybe he's not doing so.
Yeah, I
great,
don't
'cause he's got
follow
3 boys,
celebrity.
but he's happily married.
really needs a hobby.
I thought it was
Yeah.
recent. I didn't think that they.
They've been married for like a
Kid.
decade.
Yeah, they've been married
Oh,
for a
my
while.
gosh, I'm so behind on.
Because they were both
Yeah.
child stars. I forgot where they met, but I know that was like a really big point that they connected on. And then everyone, ever since then, are like, oh my god, they're married? They have children? What?
I think I have 2 holiday
What?
movies.
Anyways,
that are like big. I want to get to every year, and the first one is Klaus. Klaus is just a really beautifully animated movie, and it always really puts me in the season. And I think the other one is probably to very little surprise to most people. It's probably Muppet Christmas Carol. Steve Whitmire's first major time taking over for Kermit since like literally like Jim Henson Memorial Special. And it's just, Michael Caine. I love Michael Caine, the way he treats the material with sincerity, but I don't know. I think I could see a world where this is like a movie that, I don't know, I do see kind of a world where like maybe every couple of years I'm like, you know what, it's Christmas time. Let's throw on Gremlins every now and then. But yeah, I don't know. I guess on that note, it might be a little redundant at this point, but we'll go ahead and ask people as we're kind of closing out here. Would you recommend this movie to folks? Andromeda?
I don't really think that I would. I would literally just say I fell asleep during that movie. And even when I rewinded to rewatch it, I did not miss anything. But there's still a lot of really good things to get from it. Like, the practical effects are really good. And, I mean, it still is a very charming story, but I would not tell people to go out of their way to watch this during the holidays. Be like, well, if you don't have anything else to watch, I guess you can watch Gremlins.
Dayton, what about you?
I guess I will. It's a fine movie. So it's not like something I'd feel bad at. Like, I'd recommend to somebody. I'm not expecting somebody to give me hard. God, that was awful. I hated that. I think it'd just mostly be. I think people will either really enjoy it or mostly just be neutral on it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it just seems like. So I'd recommend it.
Ember?
it kind of, it depends overall. If this movie is like, if it's someone that I know and like I know the general kind of vibe of movie that they like and this falls into their wheelhouse, yeah, sure. But it's definitely not like something that I'm gonna just like, oh, you haven't seen it? You should. I'm not gonna put my stamp of approval on this by default.
I don't know. For me, this is actually making me think if there. I'm trying to remember if there's been any movie on the show so far that I have not recommended. There's been a few where there's like,
You recommended Snakes on a Plane?
yes.
I don't remember that, but okay.
We're not digging that up again. That was exhausting discussion. But yeah, the
I felt
point.
physically tired by the end of
But you
that
know what?
recording.
Actually, if you like Snakes on a Plane, I think you would like this movie. And that's maybe not a glowing review. Maybe that's probably sounds like a horrible thing to say for some people. But like, there I think is a group of people out there that we just love weird '80s B movies, and this is one of them. But I think this one has such a level of creativity and artistry, and something that like a lot of filmmaking techniques that are pretty standard for the time, but I think sometimes a lost art today. And so I think just on that alone, just for the amount of sheer ingenuity and creativity, both in terms of new problem solving and problem solving that was like pretty paint by numbers by that point, I'm sure. Just on that alone, I think it's a pretty fun, worthwhile watch. So if you're in the mood for something, I don't know, halfway in between Home Alone and Santa's Sleigh, check out Gremlins. And, I think I want to wrap out this discussion with a little quote from the man himself, Joe Dante. After the film's release, he got interviewed sort of about the success about the movie, and he had this to say about it. "I still have no idea why this picture was successful. Thank you, everybody. I love you all, and good night."